The night crept over the abandoned valley like a living thing, stretching its limbs across the silent trees and sinking into the soil as though claiming ownership. The forest exhaled a breath of cold air, and the world held still, as if waiting for something to return that never should. The sky, an endless sheet of obsidian, offered no stars, no moon, only the oppressive weight of darkness pressing downward. The ground felt soft, too soft, as though something stirred beneath it, something that remembered footsteps from long ago. The wind slithered through the crooked branches, making them sway like skeletal arms reaching for the living. The silence was heavier than any sound could be, but it was not empty, it was listening. A structure lay at the valley's heart, half swallowed by earth and time, its walls fractured like broken teeth. It pulsed with a quiet hum, subtle but persistent, as though the building itself was breathing. The air grew colder with each step closer, and the scent of damp stone and something metallic lingered like a warning. The entrance yawned like a mouth, welcoming and devouring in the same instant. The threshold felt wrong, as though crossing it severed something unseen. Inside, the darkness was thicker, tangible, shifting. The walls dripped with moisture, or perhaps something else. The floor creaked under invisible weight, rattling like bones remembering motion. The corridor stretched far beyond reason, longer on the inside than the outside should allow, bending space into something unfamiliar. With every step, the air vibrated with whispers that were not words but memories. Breathing grew shallow. The walls pulsed in rhythm with a heartbeat that wasn't human. The air tasted like rust, old and wet. Something moved just behind, never seen but felt, brushing against the spine with icy fingers. Shadows crawled across the walls with silent purpose, slipping into cracks and reappearing in places they did not belong. The corridor branched into a staircase, spiraling downward, each step groaning like something in pain. Descending felt like falling into a stomach. The darkness pressed closer, reshaping itself into shapes that flickered away the moment they were noticed. At the bottom, the ground was cold stone, smooth and polished by countless footsteps. A faint glow pulsed from deeper within, beckoning like a heartbeat from below the earth. Breath trembled. The sound of dripping echoed endlessly. Every direction looked the same. The walls breathed, the floor shivered. Something watched, not from the shadows, but from the space between thoughts. Down a narrow corridor, the glow intensified, revealing carvings on the walls, spirals, circles, figures collapsing into themselves, endless loops, time folding, consuming. The carvings pulsed, alive, warm to the touch yet colder than death. The glow led to a chamber, vast, circular, wrong. The ceiling stretched impossibly high, swallowed by darkness, the walls bent in angles that hurt to look at. In the center, a pit gaped wide, its edges lined with symbols that flickered like fading embers. The air around the pit trembled, the hum grew louder, burrowing into bone. The room felt ancient, but not dead. The ground shook, the pit exhaled. Darkness rose like smoke. Something was waking, and it remembered everything.
The chamber pulsed with a rhythmic thrum, as though the room itself had a heartbeat. The pit at its center seethed with unseen motion, whispering promises no mind could hold without fracturing. The air shimmered like heat, though it was colder than the grave. Each breath came slower, heavier, as though the atmosphere thickened into liquid shadow. The walls shuddered, absorbing light, swallowing it. The symbols writhed, stretching and compressing like mouths gasping for air. Time bent. Minutes felt like years, or seconds. Reality loosened. The carving shifted subtly each time the eye moved away, rearranging the story embedded in the walls. A story of descent, a story of return, a story with no beginning and no end. The ground beneath trembled with every pulse from below. The pit was not empty, it was a throat, swallowing the world one moment at a time. Shadows stretched out from its edges like fingers, tasting the air, reaching. The chamber's boundaries warped, corners melted into curves, the ceiling elongated, stretching upward in slow, unnatural motion. The hum grew louder, layering into harmonies that sounded like screaming reversed. Something was climbing. The darkness in the pit churned, rising. Limbs or shapes like limbs emerged and retreated, unsure of form. The chamber trembled with anticipation, as though it too had been waiting. The floor tilted slightly, as though the entire world leaned toward the pit. Breath quickened. The carvings changed again. Now they showed eyes, hundreds of eyes, all open, all searching, all seeing. And then abruptly the hum stopped. Silence crashed into the chamber like a wave. The air froze. The darkness solidified. The world held its breath. And in the stillness, the first movement began. From the pit came a sound like bones grinding against stone. Then a breath. Not human, not alive, not dead. A sound that carried knowledge of things buried by time. A shape rose, towering, formless yet heavy with presence. It had no face, yet it stared. It had no mouth, yet it hungered. It had no eyes, yet it knew. It stretched upward, unfolding endlessly, spilling over the edges of the pit, scraping against the ceiling that bent away in fear. The ground quaked, the walls bled shadow, the room tilted, reality buckling beneath the weight of something older than existence. The shape leaned forward. It listened. It remembered who had come before. The chamber walls flashed. The carvings flickered. Spirals. Circles. Falling figures. Endless descent. Endless return. The realization struck like ice through the veins. This was not the first time. This was not the beginning. The pit had opened before. The corridor had been walked before. The footsteps had echoed 1,000 times, and each time the end was the same. The shape surged forward. Darkness swallowed everything.
The night crept over the abandoned valley like a living thing, stretching its limbs across the silent trees and sinking into the soil as though claiming ownership. The sky was empty of stars. The forest held its breath. The earth felt soft, too soft. The wind slithered between the trees, carrying a low hum from somewhere deep within the valley. The structure stood at the center, half submerged, waiting. Its walls pulsed faintly, as if alive. The entrance yawned open like a mouth, and crossing the threshold felt like severing something unseen. The corridor stretched long, longer than possible. Shadows moved with intention. The floor remembered footsteps. The walls vibrated with whispers. The air tasted like rust. Each step echoed in perfect rhythm with a heartbeat that wasn't the walker's own. The staircase spiraled downward. The darkness bent. The air grew colder. The hum grew louder. At the bottom lay the chamber, vast, circular, impossible. The symbols on the walls glowed like embers. The pit waited in the center, breathing. The carvings showed spirals and eyes and falling figures. The ground trembled. The hum deepened. The pit exhaled. Darkness rose. The shape began to wake. Breath trembled. The air thickened. The walls pulsed. The chamber tilted forward. The carvings shifted. Spirals, circles, falling, returning. The hum stopped. Silence. Then the sound of bones on stone. A breath from below. A shape rising, taller, stronger, closer. It leaned forward.
It remembered. The world collapsed into shadow, and the night crept over the abandoned valley once more.